Wait a minute. Can you check what it's looking like on your end? I'm getting a really weird looking feed.
It's just starting. We're good.
You can see both of us?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, for some reason, it's like this giant picture of my head, which I don't think you guys want to see a giant picture of my head. All right. Hey, guys. Marcus and Terry here with you today. What we're talking about today is sobriety boring? A lot of people think that when you get sober, life's going to be boring. And that was one of my big fears when I was looking at getting sober is that, hey, what am I going to do with my time if I'm not drinking? And one of the things we realize is that drinking makes our life seem a lot more interesting than it actually is, which is kind of weird, right? We live in this world of drama where a lot of things are happening. We're getting sick. We're dealing with law. We're dealing with relationship issues. We're dealing with all kinds of stuff that really throws us for a curve and makes us think that our life is a lot more interesting than it actually is. So in this talk today, what me and Terry are going to do is talk to you about the reality of what boredom is about and how we were actually a hell of a lot more bored when we used to drink. Surprisingly, my life has gotten a lot better and more exciting after I quit drinking. So we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about the pits and perils of boredom, where boredom comes from, how to deal with boredom in sobriety, and why are we afraid to be bored anyway. So, Terry, how you doing?
I'm doing well. It's turning out to be a beautiful day here in Northern California.
Cool. It's
So
like
yeah, right on.
32 here in Florida, which is weird for Florida. But yeah, so what are your thoughts on this? I know I kind of want to go through what your life was like before when you feared, okay, when I don't drink, what am I going to have? Because I know a lot of us, drinking is somehow tied to our identity. Like, okay, if I'm not the drinking guy, who am I going to be? If I'm not drunk all the time, what am I going to do with my time? Right? So what was it like for you? What was a typical day when you were drinking, when you woke up? Like, run us through that and let's kind of dissect it.
Well, I think there's a couple parts of my drinking days, and back in the heyday, like college and 20s and 30s and stuff like that, when alcohol didn't seem to be as much of an issue and didn't affect my life negatively too badly. Um, I had just a fairly normal day. I was a heavy drinker, definitely, but my life didn't totally revolve around alcohol. But alcohol was involved in much of what I did. A lot of my extracurricular activities were, as I just said, I live in Northern California, so wine country was always a part of many of the extracurricular activities and having parties. And I have a good house for having people over, so we'd have every Thursday night we'd have a shindig with alcohol and food and all that. And that was pretty much what it was like. Was things revolved around alcohol. As drinking really took hold in my life, and I started to drive everybody out of my life, and eventually, those last few years where there was nothing but alcohol, I thought that I was not bored, but really, all I was doing was drinking, watching bad TV. I'd walk my dog if I could get up to do it. That's about it. I started to get legal problems, marital problems, things like that. So I had to take care of those when I absolutely had to, or I just pushed them down the road and didn't do anything about it.
Mm-hmm.
But boredom was definitely kicking in, and what did I do to solve it? I just drink more and pass out and start again. And that was just the daily occurrence, and life really turned into nothing except just drinking, watching bad TV, drinking, doing that sort of thing, and that's what it was all about.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And I think also one of the things with boredom is the fact that we're afraid to live in the now and we don't know how to live in the now. And what happens is when we drink, we get really wrapped up into the now and an ego-driven life where we're like, okay, everything is about me, everything is about what I want, everything is about what I need. And we're not really looking down the road and saying, hey, what does life look like as a well-rounded person? We're just kind of looking at things like right now. which is why you get bar fights and you get in heated arguments and things like that, because alcohol brings you back to like self-preservation of your ego, and it also makes it to where you're unable to really be, right? You're unable to deal with things as they come to you. You're unable to actually live in the moment because you're actually living in a chemically altered moment, which is not reality. And so what happens is we tend to look at this boredom as a big thing that happens in our life, and we struggle with it rather than what would happen if we just embraced it. So what if you're bored? Like, you know, the anti-boredom police aren't going to come to your door and kick your butt, right? You're just going to be bored. Big deal. And we look at this as something really, really, really difficult to get to, when in actuality, it's really not. And what we need to learn is that we can be in the moment. We can live in the now without drinking. Now, when I first tried to get sober, anyone who knows me, who's watched these talks, has probably figured out that my mind goes like a semi-truck with no brakes on a 10-grade hill, right? I'm just going and going and going and going. Brain doesn't stop. And I remember years ago, before I got sober, I was trying to stop my brain. That was the thing. That's why I drank a lot, because I was like, okay, I need to shut my brain off. I need to deal with this stuff. I need to mellow out. Now, one of the side effects of having a brain that's always going is you're really never bored, because you're always thinking about something. And so what I had to learn is to embrace the nothing. Embrace the boredom. Embrace being able to sit and relax without a drink, without a book, without TV, without a talk, and be okay with you. Because one of the things that I find is very difficult, and was when I drank, was sitting and being okay with me. I was not okay with me. One of the things you'll hear a lot in sobriety is that a lot of alcoholics are not comfortable in their own skin. What does that mean? It means you're not comfortable with who you think you are, or who you want to be, or something is off. And I think the key is in accepting, this is who I am, this is where we're at, and there is no real definition. Like if I try to define Terry, you know, okay, he's a chef, he's a nice guy, he's sober, he's caring. I can use all these words, but that doesn't even get the tip of the iceberg. Terry is so much more than those things. You are so much more than those things. And when we understand them, and we understand that we can't put it in a box, then we can sit and say, I am where I am, and I'm going to be okay where I'm at. And I don't have to think about things. I don't have to create drama. Right? One of the things with alcohol is I liked to create drama. I'd call a family member and start some stuff. I'd do something at work and start some stuff. And my life was always about starting stuff, because I didn't know how to live where actually life happens. And the funny thing about life is it happens between the words. It happens between the events. There's a quote years ago that I heard that said, life is what happens when you're busy making plans. And yes, that's true. We spend years planning things. But are those years wasted because we're planning for a future event that's a minute part of our life? What if we actually learn to embrace this thing we call boredom? What if we gave it a different name? What if we treated it differently? What if we looked at life as, this is just what is? And I know a lot of people try to run from emotions, whether it's boredom, whether it's sadness, anger, and we try to run from these things because we feel like they're bad. And somewhere along the line, society has taught us that it's bad to be bored. Oh my gosh, you got to have that TV on. You got to be looking at the Instagrams. Got to be watching Marcus and Terry, or whatever it is. And we're programmed to think this stuff, when in actuality, it doesn't mean anything. And in actuality, I can sit and I don't have to be doing anything. And we can find serenity in boredom. And we can find something new to do. Read a book. Go back to school. Take a course. Learn to relax. Focus on other people who need to get sober. And all these things are thwarted because we're looking at boredom as the enemy. Boredom's not the enemy. Boredom's not going to make you drink. I've been bored as shit, and I know a lot of us have during this lockdown, and it's okay. You made it through everything so far, I think you're going to be okay. So, Terry, what are your thoughts on how we view boredom as society, as alcoholics, everything like that?
Well, when I was drinking, first of all, this what you were saying was kind of making me think about when I was drinking and what I was doing, thinking, I was always thinking about the future, what was going to happen, what I needed to do. But my solution was to do things like buy things, buy materialistic things, and also, I hate my job, so I'm going to get a different job. I'm going to do this because I'll make a lot more money. I won't have to work as hard. People will be nice to me. Da 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 da. And it was always, I'm going to do this. So I blow money by buying these things that I thought would make life better, and they didn't. And I had this fantasy about getting a different job, yet I was too drunk to do anything about it, and then I wouldn't get that job. Then I got sober, and when I got sober, things slowed down. I was forced to slow down. I was physically and mentally very messed up for a while, and but I learned to sit and relax and slow down and just take the little things that were in front of me. Yes, of course I had plans for the future, and I still do. That's what life is about. We work because we need to make sure that we're okay, next week. Our life revolves around planning for the future. But I also made sure that I was spending time for myself every day. It's what I still do. Things like taking my dog for a walk. That's not for the future, that's for right now. It's a beautiful day out there. We've had a couple of weeks of rain. It's going to be wonderful out there. I'm going to go walk my dog. It's things like that. Planning each day to have some time for myself and for my family and relaxing. Now, grant you, I still have a tough time sitting in a silent house. I pretty much have at least background music on all the time. I actually listen to this totally mellow station most of the day that doesn't even have words to most of the songs. It's just silent. It's just background stuff, but that's okay. The thing I really concentrate on in sobriety is really thinking about what's going on right now. And when I start to get that anxiety, I start to think about, well, what's okay? Don't know what's going to happen down the road, but right now I'm okay. And so far, I've been okay every time. I think about these things these worst case scenarios, and they pretty much never come true. And I've always gotten through it, at least so far. I don't know what the future's going to bring, but whatever. If it's something that's not something that I like to happen, then I'll deal with it when the time comes. And I'll continue to plan to move in the right direction and try to do the things I need to do. And if I don't get them done, then just try again tomorrow, not worry about it. And I think that's an important strategy, at least for me, to just try and think about things in the positive way. And you guys have heard me say this many times, but living in gratitude for what I have right now, not what I want, not what I gotta get, but what I have. I'm very blessed for what I have. There's many people in this world that don't have anywhere near what I have, and I have to be grateful for it. Especially the things that aren't materialistic, like my family. And I know I'm blessed to have that. It's very fortunate. But that even without family, I have a lot of friends that are sober alcoholics that I talk to daily, and that's because I've reached out to them. So I have a responsibility here too. Is that being sober, I can reach out, I can talk to people and develop relationships and get what really helps me the most, which is that support. It's hard to do this stuff alone, but there's a lot of people in this world that are going through exactly the same things that we are, and that helps a lot.
Absolutely. And I think one of the problems is that we get so hung up on what we want and what we desire. And that's really what boredom is. You want something other than what you have right now. And as Buddha said, the root of suffering is desire. I'm desiring things to be different than they are right now, rather than accepting things the way that they are. And once we accept things the way we are, it's funny, my dad used to say things, because my brother would be kind of, he was very big on what he wanted. Like what my brother wanted it trumped everything anyone else wanted in the house. And my dad would always say to him, you walk around here like you're some damn captain, just telling everyone what you want. And I think the same thing happens in our sobriety, where we're going through life as if we're some captain and everything needs to bow to our will. And one of the things that we learn in sobriety is to live life on life's terms, to get involved in what's going on, because there are more than one people on the planet. Last I checked, there was about 7.9 billion other people on planet Earth. And we have to look at that and say, so out of all these 7.9 billion people, with all the stuff that's going on in the world right now, I'm sitting here and worried about being bored? Like, that's really what it's about? And we have to really get down to it and say, that is the essence of my ego talking. That's the essence of like, oh, I need to have some entertainment or something like this or whatever. And I think a lot of it stems from our society because, if you're bored now, I don't know how you would have made it 200 years ago when you couldn't even like turn on a light and read a book because, printing press was pretty new. They didn't print that many books back then. Now we got the internet, we got TV, you got 1,000 different things on Netflix. And I think what we're dealing with is decision fatigue. What am I going to watch? You spend, I don't know if anyone else is different, but like we spend more time trying to figure out what to watch on the Netflix than the movie actually takes. Right? You spend an hour and a half trying to figure out what to watch because there's so many things to watch. And in actuality, it's like time would have been better spent if we just relax and just be. What if we're just okay? What if we just relax? What if life is going to be okay even if I'm bored? What if I'm bored for a year? Who cares? Going to be okay. Boredom doesn't kill people. It's what you do with it that does. Right? We look at it and it's like, okay, I could be bored and drink, and that's not a good combination because we all know where drinking gets us, which is why we're watching this channel right now. And we have to look at it and say, hey, there is a better way to life, and the better way is accepting what is. When there's nothing to do nothing. When there's lots of stuff to do lots of stuff. It's like the old Zen saying where he says, hey, when you're washing the dishes, wash the dishes. Don't think of a million things. Don't be at work. I used to be a really, really, really bad at this. And I go to the beach with my family. And at the beach, I was thinking about work. And then I go to work, and at the work, I was thinking about the beach. And then when I was relaxing, I was thinking about this. And when I woke up, I was thinking about this. And I never was able to savor a moment. And you see this now, right? We live in the world of fast food culture. And Terry will probably like this analogy, right? You go get your fast food, and there is no enjoyment. Like, it's loaded with chemicals. It's not good for you. You don't savor it. And because of the way our culture is, and I grew up, my dad, he eats because he has to. That's how it was in my family. You ate because you had to. We're going to try to make something somewhat decent, which, decent is in the eye of the beholder. But they would make food because they had to. And they wouldn't enjoy it and savor it. And now that I'm sober, I love to cook. I used to love to cook before, but like when you're not drunk, a whole new world opens up of like, no, I don't have to burn the pot on the stove because I'm too drunk to pay attention. And I realized that I could slow life down and I can enjoy and savor the moments. I can listen. I could be present in a conversation. How many of us are just waiting for our turn to talk? Guilty, right? How many of us are dealing with this stuff where we're like, hey, I can just be, I can relax and I can be okay.
Yes, indeed.
And I think that's a good segue to tell you guys about our sobriety course. If you're looking to get and stay sober, over at Talksobercom, we have a course that we do that helps support the channel. So if you like what we're doing here and you like the talks and everything like that, you can go over to Talksober.com, click the big yellow button like this. For less than $1 a day, you can get all kinds of tools and sobriety letters, sobriety videos. It's like a 30-day course that you go through, and it walks you through everything. You read the letter, you watch the video, you fill out some worksheets and go through some stuff. It's like a whole course that Terry and I have put together for you to help you get and stay sober. You can go over to Talksober.com, click the big yellow button. All the proceeds go to making this channel bigger than it is now and reaching more alcoholics. This is something that Terry and I both want to do full time and reach a lot more people with the message of hope that has helped us get sober. So if you like what we're doing and you want to support it and get all kinds of tools and go through that sobriety course, go to Talksober.com, click the yellow button, fill this out. You'll get instant logins and you'll be part of our inner group members of sobriety people or something like that. I think that's a fancy term for it.
Right on. Okay, I want to go back to an earlier comment, then we'll move on with some
Sure.
of the comments. But Laura, you mentioned when will I lose weights? I'm so bored. So I've been at the gym twice a day and not losing the beer weight. And for me, I was 40 pounds more than I am now. I did not lose any weight that first year of sobriety. I don't know if you're in early sobriety or not, but one thing that I was told and that I stuck with that seemed to do okay because it kept me sober was don't worry about the food or anything else that you're doing. Worry about the alcohol right now because that's what you need to concentrate on. That's what I was told, and that's what I did. So I did not worry about that because, when a craving hits, one of the best things to do for a craving is maybe eat something. And that could be one of the triggers that could cause somebody to drink. So that's one thing. I mean, of course, if you have some medical issues, you need to do this with your doctor, of course, and maybe somebody needs to lose that weight or not. But that first year I didn't lose any weight. Okay. So now I'm 40 pounds less than I was. I did not lose that 40 pounds right away. I lost it over the course of the last 5 years, okay? That's 8 pounds a year, something like that. Don't have my calculator out, but what's that? Third of a pound? I mean, 2/3 of a pound to a quarter of a pound a month? It's a slow process for me. You see all these diets and things like that, and I never followed any of those. I just try to eat a little bit better. That's what I try to do. That's it. So that's my take on that. But we'll get a little bit more to the topics, to our topic here. But that's my suggestion for you.
Yep, and watch also because alcohol does wreak havoc on your blood sugar. Something I found out. And so when I got sober, I craved all kinds of candies and sugar and stuff like that. And I didn't worry too much about the weight because my main focus, like Terry said, was getting sober. Like, it doesn't matter. Like, if I was skinny and still drunk, which I was, like when I was living off alcohol those years before I got sober, I was pretty skinny and skinnier than I'm now because that's all I lived on. But I'm a lot happier now, and now it doesn't affect me so much because the end goal is I want to be sober. And just recently I cut sugar out of my diet because I had to, because I'm on some cholesterol pills that jack with my blood sugar, so I can't eat a bunch of sugar. So you take things in stride and you just be okay with it, and enjoy the journey.
Yeah.
I think that's the key. And so what? So what if I have a couple extra pounds? Which, sadly for me, I'm 5 feet tall, so 1 pound looks like probably 30 on a different person. But again, take it in stride. It'll be okay.
Yeah. And then like me, it was my wife's birthday yesterday, so I'm a chef, so I cooked her an all-American breakfast, a Middle Eastern lunch, a Southeast Asian dinner, snacks and stuff like that. And here's me, the alcoholic psycho guy. I weighed myself today. Oh my God, I gained 4 pounds yesterday. I mean, just taking it stride. Okay, today I'm going to go back to just eating regular, being fine. I'll be okay in a few days, be patient. I'll still weigh myself tomorrow, the next day, and be all psycho about it. But, I just take it with a grain of salt a little bit. But
yeah.
Anyways, there was one down here. More X93. Greetings from Poland. 5th week of pure sobriety, being supported with I'm not sure what those medicines are. Not tough so far, but slight seduction of drinking cold beer appears from time to time. Is that okay? Yeah, I know lots of people that I work with and that I hear talking that you're gonna you're going to get those cravings. They're going to happen. They happened for me. They happened for quite a long time. For me, they weren't terribly bad, just here and there. But some people, the cravings are pretty consistent. And it's just a matter of working some sort of a sobriety program, keeping in mind what sobriety is doing for you now versus what you were doing when you were drinking, what active drinking was doing for you then. And maybe that'll be enough to help you out.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah. And San Kanu says kind of a similar, a little bit similar, but motivated by your video, I was sober exactly 210 days. But after that, you started again in October, and now it's hard to get back in. Well, just don't worry about where you were, what happened. You can look at your 210 days of sobriety as a learning experience and look back to what you were doing then that was working and do that. And you may have to step it up more this time. Sometimes it's a good idea to know why you took that first drink or know what led up to it so you can try to avoid that situation again. But just start where you are right now. It doesn't matter. You could start right now and not drink anymore. You know, if you need to go to the doctor, that's always a good idea. In fact, I would suggest going to a doctor first. The doctor can get you going in the right direction, suggest the right routes to take. But yeah, just do it. Just get right on there.
Absolutely. All right, let's see. I lost my place in the comments. See anything standing out?
Sorry, I was reading this one. Well, Blackwater Park is kind of talking about the same thing. I occasionally think about a beer or a glass of wine, not too bad. I can't even have one, though, or a switch goes off, and I go off the rails in a matter of days. And that was my experience as well when I did quit once after rehab. And then I stayed quit for about a week or two or something like that. I don't know, it's all a blur. But I had that one drink, and within 2 days I was back to the full blast alcoholism. So yeah, that's a common story I hear, is it doesn't take much. Some people, they can have that one drink and they're like, I'm good, and they can go for a few months. But I haven't heard many stories of true alcoholics that have been able to have one drink and just keep going at a maintenance level. For me, I'm addicted to more. I'm always going to want more. One is definitely not enough. I'd have to just keep going and going. I don't know where I would stop or where it would take me. So that's why I just choose not to even have that one.
Yep. KG says, 2 days sober and trouble sleeping. Any suggestions? Yes. Listen to talks. It's difficult to sleep in early sobriety because you were basically running on something that helped you sleep. And now you have a bunch of energy, and that's pretty normal. What I find is don't fight sleeping. Like, a lot of people they try to force themselves to go to sleep, and it's like, naturally you're going to fall asleep anyway, unless you're, on something that makes you not sleep. But I don't think that's the case here. And embrace it, because sleeping and boredom and sleeping, it's like you don't want to just lay there and do nothing. I found in early sobriety, I would stay up till 3, 4 in the morning every day because I just couldn't sleep. I was up all the time. And so what I did is I decided to get a bunch of audios of different speakers I liked. I listened to Alan Watts, Ram Dass, other people, lots of other talks, listen to audiobooks, all kinds of things. And I found that, one, that actually helped shape my thinking for the progression of my sobriety, because I was able to put new things in my head while I wasn't sleeping. And eventually I fell asleep anyway. Like, half those talks, I got through about 45 minutes and I was out cold. And the key is not to try to fight it, not to think about it, just be in the moment. And when you're tired, you'll fall asleep. I think far too much of our life is fighting things that are natural. And there's actually, in our sobriety course, over at Talksobercom, click the yellow button. You can sign up. I don't remember which letter it was, but it was one about the plane. And that one goes through this. It's very specific to an issue that I deal with that's kind of an embarrassing, difficult issue. But I figured, hey, let's share it because maybe you guys will get help from it. And the idea is something that naturally is going to happen whether you fight it or not. Right? And through our life, we go through and we're pushing rocks up these big hills when it's like eventually the rock's going to get up there anyway. I don't know how, but it does. Right? Eventually, you're going to fall asleep. Eventually, if you continue on the plan, you'll probably lose weight. Eventually, you'll start to get your mental stuff back. Eventually, life's going to be okay, and we really, really have to focus on it and look at what happens. And Amy says the same thing. I'm on day 42 and still having issues with sleep. Quit years ago. Took me 3 to 4 months to have solid sleep. And I think the key is in realizing that you're going to be okay. Like Amy's on day 42. She hasn't been awake for 42 days. Otherwise there'd be a whole nother issue. So she is sleeping, and you do eventually get to sleep. It's just a matter of not fighting it, and fighting it is our way to have control over it, and it's not really going to work. You need to give in. Say, hey, you know what? I'm going to sit here. I'm going to listen to this talk, or I'm going to read this book, or I'm just going to lay here and meditate or relax, and I'm going to be okay. One of the things definitely not to do is don't focus on engaging things. So like for me, I consume a lot of learning content every day in my work and everything. So I need to listen to like a story or something at night, or a talk. If I listen to engaging things that get my mind stimulated, I'm going to be up all night because I'm going to be chewing on those. So I try to go against the grain, and I try to really just look at the calmness, and just look at what's going on. And recently I've been having my asthma, the asthma medicine, and the coffee I drink that somehow helps my asthma. They keep me up. But you know what? I embrace it. Get some extra work done till 12 at night, 12:30. Go lay down, listen to a talk. I'm out. And it will come in time. It's going to happen. If it doesn't happen, you go to the doctor and say, why can't I sleep? But I think for most of us, it will come. And for me, my sleep didn't really get back to normal till about 6 or 8 months after I got sober.
Yeah, it took me a while too. And Donna from France, she also says reading books helps her too. And yes, absolutely. For me, it would be a lot of those nonfiction books, and those help a lot, definitely. Mm-hmm. But yeah, getting your mind away from all the day-to-day thoughts and all that is helpful. Whatever you can do, and that's kind of what I do. Is I don't worry about if I'm going to fall asleep or not. And yeah, just like Marcus, it took me months to get my sleep patterns back to normal after stopping. But still to this day, what I do is I go to bed and I don't worry about if I'm going to fall asleep. I'm resting. My body's resting. And then I always fall asleep. But I'm kind of lucky. If it takes me 5 minutes, it took me a long time to fall asleep. So I'm pretty lucky that way. I'll be that old man in the chair, when I'm 90 years old that's sleeping in the middle of a restaurant. Mm-hmm. That'll be me. But anyways, yeah.
Jin says, I have one question. I was in a mental hospital since 18, and I was kept till I was 30. Never had a job and became an addict. Follow up with your question, and I'd be happy to hear you out. Benjamin says, I think listening to a foreign language you enjoy or want to learn can be relaxing. Yeah, absolutely. That can work. That's an interesting thing, too, because, if you don't understand something, it kind of puts your mind at ease, which is kind of an interesting thought. But, like Terry said, as long as you're resting, it's okay.
Yes, indeed.
Or children's novels on tape. Yeah, there's actually one I really like. It's a little stimulating, though, because it's about philosophy. It's called Sophie's World. Really good book I listen to sometimes. There's also Zen and the Art of Motorcycle Maintenance. Those are pretty good. If you're in our Talk Sober course, you can go to Talksobercom, click the yellow button. There's a bunch of MP3s you can download, put them on your phone. And what I do is I put them all in a folder. That way, when you fall asleep, it keeps going. So it's not like, oh, it's going to go from Marcus's calm talk and Terry's calm talk to like, Megadeth or something. And it'll keep playing them throughout the night, which is good. And you can start folders. You can figure out what works for you. And I'll watch it. Like if I'm listening to something it's a little too engaging, I'll switch over to something I know will relax me. I did that actually last night because I couldn't sleep. But eventually I did fall asleep.
One more thing, just on the sleep subject, that helps me is the fact that I exercise a lot. Then my body really needs to sleep. Mm-hmm. So that helps. Just some suggestions there. Mm-hmm. And, and as far as being sober and sobriety, though, I just try to stay active. And I don't worry about it if I am bored and have nothing to do, which pretty much never happens. I can always think of something to do, and it's usually not what I should be doing, but but that's okay,
Yeah.
I don't worry about it too much.
Jen followed up with, never had a job, rarely have motivation, came back to my hometown to look for a job, been on and off alcohol. How can I keep myself motivated? Well, I think the problem is that people look at motivation as if the feeling comes first. If you've ever had teenagers, this is all too true. They wait for a feeling to get them motivated. We wait till we feel like we're ready to get sober or we're ready to grab the bull by the horns or whatever it is. And in actuality, it's the reverse. The reverse happens. And this is something I learned in sobriety, where if you bring your ass, your brain will follow. Whatever you do will get you there, right? So if I am not motivated, like a couple months ago, my doctor said, you need to walk every day. And I'm like, I don't want to walk every day. I want to sit in front of my computer and make a living. That's what I want to do. And I wasn't motivated. It wasn't like I was like, yeah, okay, let's get some little outfits and go walking. But I knew I had to do it. So I just started doing it every day. And over time, I actually got to where I started missing my walk. We haven't gone in the last 2 days because for some reason Florida's freezing cold right now. And we haven't gone on our walk in 2 days, which is probably why I'm not sleeping well. And I noticed that my mind followed. So what I would do is, one, get up, take a shower first thing in the morning, grab your coffee or your tea or whatever it is you like, go to the job hunt, whether you feel like it or not. Got to do it. Got to do what you got to do. And just keep doing it. And eventually, when you get a job, you'll be motivated to go work at the job. Like if you look for a job long enough, you'll probably find one. That's just how it works. And the key is not to bank on this feeling of motivation. And I know our culture with the self-help movement and everything, it's all based on feeling, then action. But act, and then the feeling will come. And if it doesn't come, who cares? Because you're acting anyway. Right? And I think that's the big key. I used to be a big procrastinator until I learned that procrastination is about anger management. I'm angry because I want things to be different than they are. I'm procrastinating because I'm a little punk who says, I shouldn't have to do this. Things shouldn't be this way. So I'm just being a little punk instead of saying, you know what? Got to do this. Got to do it. So I'm going to do it. And it starts with steady things. One of the things I learned also in rehab was something I hadn't done. If you saw my bedroom in high school, it was thrashed. Like the city dump was probably cleaner than my bedroom in high school. I never really tidied things up. And I learned in rehab for the first time ever, because I went straight from living on my own and having a messy room to living with my wife, who is not messy. And so I never had to do make beds or anything. And then I went to rehab and they said, make your bed every day when you wake up. That little action, make your bed every day when you wake up, started to change something in my mind. Started to go, okay, yeah, make the bed, do this stuff. It gets you going, whether you feel like it or not. You never feel like making your bed. It's like you're just going to sleep in it anyway, just leave it. But if you do that action, things will start to change. And what all the stuff we're talking about is the idea that what you hear from me and Terry, what you learn about sobriety, gives you options. Right? So you got a menu, and you're like, Marcus and Terry said this, this, and this. But what you do keeps you sober. Options don't keep you sober.
I do make my bed all the time. I like to make my bed. I like to be tidy. But there's a difference between Marcus and myself. We're just a little bit different people.
I have a good angle on my office. Like right here, this is a good angle.
It's papers everywhere at the other angles.
Oh, man, I had to get a vacuum in here because I spill my pipe and cigar stuff everywhere. And when you live in Florida, everything's sand, and it just comes in here. Like I'm literally vacuuming like this much sand every week out of my office because it just gets everywhere. But yeah, and you just look at it and it's like, okay, do something small. And even vacuuming, like the little vacuum cleaning off my desk before I do stuff makes a difference. Changes your mindset, changes the way you do things. That's why I think like when you look at hoarders, it's so easy to get in the pattern of hoarding because it's like, well, where am I going to start? Good Lord, I got all this stuff. What, to take a marble out, it's not going to make a difference. And so you get stuck in a rut. And the key to get out of a rut is to start with one thing. What's one thing I can do? Well, I'm in a rut. I'm not motivated. Don't want to look for a job. I can call one person today. I can walk into one place. I can set up one interview. I can learn a new skill, work on my resume. I can do something to get me closer. And action begets action.
Yep.
And it'll start to snowball and it'll start to build. And that's how sobriety works. When I first got sober, I didn't know what was going on. Now I got all these tools. I'm like, okay, cool. And I didn't plan them. I was just like, hey, that tool worked. This one works. This one works. Oh, good. Now I have all these tools. And the same thing works with life is you're going to get these tools and you're going to get these things and it'll start to build and grow. And if you say, hey, I'm going to take 5 pounds of hoarding stuff out of my garage every day, it doesn't take that long. It's like the old self-help saying, how do you eat an elephant? Well, you eat an elephant one bite at a time. You don't just gobble the whole thing in one go. It's not going to work, right? You got to start small. And disclaimer, you shouldn't be eating elephants. That's just wrong. They're way too cute. At any rate.
CGM Sound said, it's hard to find people to talk to about this because most people I know drink. It's kind of frustrating. I hear you, man. When I got sober, all my friends are drinkers. That's who I hung out with. Of course, I never talked to them about deep, serious stuff. It was all at the bar and things like that. But you're here. Join our Facebook group. You can talk to us here. You can go to 12-step meetings. Those people there, they that's all about talking about these things. Or if that's not for you, then just a hospital recovery group. Those also you can talk about lots of things, but trying to get yourself in touch with other sober alcoholics because they know where you're coming from. They can relate to your stories. They understand where you're coming from. And a lot of them have solutions to the same problem that you might have that they've gone through and successfully completed. So there's some suggestions for you to try and get out there. The hardest part is reaching out. But once you do, you'll see, if you haven't done it already, you'll see it's okay. It's not that painful. Just talking to people about real stuff, people that are going through the same things you are. So try that.
Absolutely. We got someone talking about impeaching presidents. I'll weigh in on that in a little bit. Something interesting about that is whether you watch the news and get all excited about politics or not, guess what's going to happen? The same exact thing. Like, think about this for a minute. Like, I wasn't a fan of the last administration. Not a fan of this administration. I really didn't like anyone except, like, way before I was born. But at any rate, you got all these people excited about politics. Did anything change anything? Like, if I watch more TV, does it change anything? No. So I'm getting all excited about nothing, and I could literally just pay attention to what I'm doing, my sobriety, my work, my place in the world, and all that stuff's going to be the same anyway. I just go about my life, my daily business, and I can be calm as a cucumber and relax. There's other people that get all excited about this stuff. They get in fights, yell at each other. Over what? Last I checked, I don't think, even if me and Terry made the best form and we wore the right hats and suits, neither one of us could do anything about who's in office. Like, even our vote, I mean, it's like, whatever. You know, I'm one guy out of 70, 100 million or whatever, right? It's not really going to make all that difference. So I'm not going to spend that much time on it. What I am going to spend time on is making my life better, getting sober, helping other alcoholics, because all that other stuff is just going to keep me drunk. Like, you could drink your ass off over politics. I mean, come on now. You ever been to Thanksgiving? It's pretty much what it is. Drunken politic talk, right? But at the end of the day, you got 100 million people arguing over turkey. Does any one of them change one thing going on? Nope. Not one thing. So I choose to bow out and say, hey, I don't have to deal with this. And there's things in life that we can use and look at the Serenity Prayer. Where we say, accept the things I can't change. Courage to change the things I can. And the wisdom to know the difference. And the wisdom to know the difference is, I can't change much. I can change what I do. When you're on the highway, this is funny. People in my family like to yell at other drivers on the road as if they can hear them. And I learned, you know.
Me too.
Yeah. But here's the thing. How many cars can you drive at one time, Terry? Barely one, right? If you're like me, barely one. You can only drive one car. I can't drive that guy's car. I could stay away from him. Like when some guy comes zooming up and I want to, yell at him, right? I can't yell at him because he's going, fast, and I don't think my voice carries that much. But what I can do is move out of the way, keep myself safe. And that's what life's about. Move out of the way, keep yourself safe. It's things you can do. Like if there's an opportunity for me to speak out about injustice, hell yeah, I'll do it. If there's an opportunity for me to do something about something, I will. But until I actually run for president or something, which, I think I might get like a half a vote, until I do that, I'm going to relax and do what I can do. And what I can do is be sober.
I think that's very well said. That's the key. Donna says, what is difficult for me with my French wine drinking family is their lack of empathy, interest, support in my sobriety, but being expected to be cool with their drinking. Yeah, that can be tough. Maybe the year before last or so, I'm a professional chef, caterer, and one of the guys I catered with is this Michelin award-winning French chef, and he is just the nicest guy. But oh man, did he enjoy his wine while we were doing our events? And there I am sober, and yeah, I hear you. It's difficult when they don't have any empathy or interest or support or anything like that for your drinking. Absolutely. And then they expect that it's just totally cool, and then he'd be all having his wine all night and then wanting to drive. I'd be like, you sure you should be driving, dude? Why don't you let me drive? But, it's tough. And I think that's one of the challenges that we have if all the people around us are drinkers. And that's why for me at least, there has to be people I can call and talk to. Because if I just let them step all over me while they're drinking and all that, I'm going to get mad. And it might drive me to a drink. I'm just going to get resentful, and it's going to build and build and build. And it's important for me to be able to talk about it to other sober alcoholics, because a lot of them are going through the same thing. But yeah, you're not alone, Donna. I hear you.
Absolutely. And while you find another couple of questions before we wrap up, I do want to show you guys, I finally was able to get my password working for my own website, and show you guys what is actually in the Talk Sober program. If you go over to Talksober.com, click the big yellow button, you can sign up and you can see what we've worked on for you. There's a video here Terry put together about the basics of sobriety, how it works and everything. And then we have a sobriety contract you can fill out, and all of these are like cool little PDFs and things you can go through. Really spent a lot of time on this stuff. Sobriety contract for family and friends, which would be a good one to help people understand what you're going through. We have a portion that says, I'm an alcoholic, now what? This is a very good one to go over if you're struggling with, what do I do next? How do I stay sober? How do I live life sober? Then what to do now. And then we have a 30-day plan. So the course is based on 30 days. So you'll go through and you'll read a letter. So like the letter I was telling you guys about recently was the plain one. which we have done for you, really good one. And you go through and you can go through and check out your progress. So there's like a 30-day to keep track of, did you watch the video, the letter, the exercise, everything like that. And then you also have your relapse prevention guide, which will walk you through what we do to help us stop from relapse. And then also you'll go through each day. So you can go through the sober journey. You can go through this. Each day has its own welcome video, which Terry did an awesome job on this stuff, I got to tell you. And his lighting is impeccable. Like, I spend all this money for lighting in my shed, and his looks better than mine. But at any rate, you know, to each his own. But he's got a video that welcomes you to the letter, and it shows you exactly what to do. And the letters are very specific on giving your mind the change that you need to get sober. Like, these things are going to go with you. You'll read it and you'll be like, yeah, whatever. But you'll notice that throughout your day, it's going to start to chew in the back of your mind and help you with stuff. And then you go through, there's an exercise with each day, what's next, and there's steps that go through each and every one of these, which is really good. And, you know, you have obsession of the mind, and you can print out the PDF of the letter here, or just read it online, or print it, or whatever you want. And then you could go through and watch the video of the letter as well, which is really cool. So it's going to go through, and you just go through each day, and it's going to walk you through what we've learned to get and stay sober. And you could get all of this over at Talksober.com. Click the yellow button. For $27 a month, you get access to this. You get access to calls that we have for members, all kinds of stuff to help you get and stay sober. Again, remember, Terry and I are not doctors or trained addiction specialists. If you're worrying about detox, go to the doctor. I don't care how much you've been drinking. If you're worried about detox, go to the doctor. It's dangerous. For the mindset stuff, maybe you're coming out of rehab, or maybe in sober for a while and you need that extra boost, or maybe you struggle and you relapse every so often and you want to know why, and you want to understand what is it that made it stick for Marcus and Terry. What is it that worked for them? This will show you that, and it'll walk you through everything. You can get that, Talksober.com, big yellow button. You can also go and get a private call with Terry and I. So if you want to just hop on a call for an hour with me and Terry, talk about sobriety and everything like that, you can click this button as well. And all of it goes to supporting the channel and the work that we're doing here so that we can help you guys and help other alcoholics as well. So if you like us, give us a thumbs up, subscribe, and go to Talksober.com. Sign up for one of the options. You can cancel whenever you want, and you can get all that info and go through the course and learn what's going on. Even if you've been sober a while, it's going to walk you through some mindset things that'll give you tools that I wish I had. I was actually thinking about it. I was pouring my coffee this morning, and I was like, you know, if I had me as a sponsor back when I was trying to get sober, would I have stayed sober? I probably would have. If I was able to listen to the advice I had now, it probably would have helped me quite a bit. And I think it can help you guys quite a bit too, and that's why we put this together.
Right on. Let's see here. Any other last minute comments, folks?
Is there anything inherently bad in not having the same familial cadence or way of being? Getting stronger every day, but it is work. Mercy for Marcus and Terry. Do you know what she means by that?
No.
Like the same overview, or?
Yeah, it's a tough one.
KG says, I have a feeling it would be safer not to quit nicotine in early sobriety. What do you guys think? I think deal with the most important one first.
Yes.
For me, that was alcohol. Alcohol was the one that was like, yeah, this is screwing up your life. Deal with that first.
Yep. Absolutely. My doctor told me to quit both at the same time. But, so, you know, you have to make your decision there.
Yep, and it can be a bit much. That's why I really focused on, okay, I need to stay sober from alcohol. That's my big one. But again, listen to your doctor. He went to school.
I focused on alcohol, and that was the main thing for me. Mm-hmm. But Benjamin says, keep moving toward your goal. My weight training trainer and focus on health took a good 2 months, but I'm much better now. So yeah, you just focus on Focus on a goal. Okay, Donna says, sorry, it is only because I have been mocked by my own family members here in France as not being normal. And you know what? I'm not a normal drinker, so I'm not normal either. And yeah, I understand it's hurtful to be mocked that way because you don't drink. But for me, I haven't really experienced anybody mocking me for not drinking. That I've been asked, well, what, you don't drink? Why? But I'm I usually just say it's not for me, or if it's a place where I can be funny, I say because I break out in handcuffs, something like that, some silly answer or something like that. But yeah, it's tough. I'm sorry you have to go through that.
Yeah. And just remember, people are going to think what they think.
Yep.
Doesn't mean you have to buy into it. Doesn't mean you need to own it or accept it. I had that for a long time because I'm really not normal, kind of a weird person. Think about weird things, just a little bit different. And you can find your group. Like, apparently there's people here on the YouTube that think what we talk about's pretty interesting. There's always someone out there that'll listen. And you don't need to worry about what other people are doing. Use it as a barometer. One of the things I learned was to listen to the opinions of others without taking offense. So you listen and you say, okay, well, they think I'm normal or not normal because I don't drink. Okay, well, last time I drank, I got drunk and it caused a world of hell. Yeah, I don't need that one. Or if someone comes to me, if Terry says, dude, you don't let me talk enough on Talk Sober, I can listen to that and be like, oh, well, maybe there's truth to it. Yeah, there probably is a little truth to that. So I use that as a barometer. And you learn to take the advice of others without taking offense and say, okay, is this true? Is it useful? What do I do with it?
Exactly.
All right. So I think we are about out of time today. If you guys want to continue the conversation, we are going to be doing calls in the Talk Sober group. So if you're part of the group over at Talksobercom and you signed up using the old yellow button and you're going through all the MP3s and videos and all that stuff we have for you, that looks like this. We're going to have a link in here where you can actually join a private call every week with just members of the course. That way we can talk about more sensitive issues rather than just, what you can say here on the old YouTube and what you want to share with other people. It'll be more of a private setting. So if you're interested in that, go to Talksober.com, click the yellow button, sign up. We appreciate your help. Our goal this year is to do this more full-time, and we appreciate you guys.
Right on. Thank you, everybody.
Thanks. We'll see you next week.